So one of our goals with this symposium was to actually walk you through businesses that have been successful in the use of AI and make sure that you understand the power. The first panel will address some of the hesitancies some businesses are having these days because they just don't know the tools and how they operate. And so we want to have a panel where we brought people up here to show you how you can embrace it and really implement it in your business in a powerful way. And so I am honored to be joined today by Treadwell, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Monterey Lighting, as well as his colleague, Chiappetta, the CEO at Modern IT. So welcome. I will turn it over to them to present.
You guys? Nobody's head has popped off yet, so that's probably a good sign. There's been a lot of good information, but I was getting close there for a second. There's a lot of great, you got a lot of good tools. I want to use them all already. Review that slide. But, so I'm just going to go through some practical how we can dig in and start using AI. I'll do a quick intro, give you some context, and then do a demo before I turn it over to Chad to talk about what he did with his business. So, I'll go back. So my name is Tony, and I usually say Tony Chiappetta. It's hard not to say it in Italian fashion. But our company is the most human-centric IT organization of our time. And we believe that IT should be about driving people forward and innovating. And we kind of realized that back in the day when there was a mainframe, IT was just about helping the business, a direct relationship between the business and IT. And that has kind of changed from us solving business problems to be more about security lately. And almost seen as a necessary evil. You don't like knowing that you can't do something over your life is easier now because the new compliance and security doesn't enable you. So we want to help people turn the table back and make it so that IT is not a bad word. So we do that by using IT for what its core purpose is, and that's to innovate. And so I put innovation in 3 buckets, and I'd actually like your feedback if you can think of anything other than this for our 3 buckets of innovation. It's improving a process in your organization or your life through automation. It's the ability to make better decisions. And the third is how do we improve experience for an employee, for a customer, how do we make a better experience for people's lives? Can anybody think of, I'm always looking for suggestions. Can anybody think of another bucket of innovation that I can add? There you go. Using it to be more creative. Yeah. I was going to unpack that. I would say I want to be creative, and so I might have a process for creativity, and I want to enhance that process for creativity through some sort of automation. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, but I love it. Yeah.
To use it to transform your business.
100%. Yeah. Sir.
Optimizing and streamlining process.
I love it. Optimize the process, automate it, streamline it, so you can do more and get more out of your people. Let them focus on things they love. Yes, sir.
Automation.
Yeah. Using it to make it so that you can get ideas better and faster, and either improve. Well, yeah, I guess either throw all those in there. So I'm gonna have to update my slide. I'll be back in about 20 minutes. I'm thinking that's good feedback. I wanted to look at how do we start using AI to do innovation. And so I pulled up some practical uses for AI so that we can innovate. And some of those are on there, whether it's planning or generated content for creatives, possibly for having a conversation. There's AI that you can have a relationship with. Yeah, people know that it's not real, but listens, like my husband doesn't, or they have not a husband, but they have full-blown. It's almost like it's an artificial person that you start generating feelings towards, and it's kind of creepy, right? But you can have on a business side a lot of functionality. And so I actually just wanted to share with you guys a quick way that I recently used it. And like Shelby was saying, connecting ChatGPT securely, like through Microsoft, to your data is where you start getting some real power. ChatGPT cuts off its knowledge around September of 2021, and it doesn't know me personally. But if I can feed it my data, I can start applying these use cases a little bit more personally to what I'm trying to do in business or in life. And so I actually had a situation recently where we provide services for a city. There was a new finance director that came in, and we've been there for 5-6 years. The contract, ways to receive them, and he came to me and said, "Hey Tony, you're charging me for a project." And I said, "Well, yeah, of course we are. We have to be a project manager, a project engineer. We have to coordinate. We have to ensure that business change happens successfully through training. All these things they're all required." He's like, "Well, it says you have 24/7 support. So why am I paying for projects?" So I had to help him understand the difference between support and projects, which I was like, man, I'm gonna have to read 43 pages of this contract, identify every situation where we said support and not change, and then explain to him in financial terms what IT best practices are compared to like generally accepted accounting principles. Anyways, it was just a lot of trying to figure out what to do, and I was like, oh, whenever I get this feeling in my head, I use AI to help make things easier. Cool. So I took to ChatGPT, and I just used the pro version. I took a little video of it where I uploaded a PDF of our contract, and then did some prompting on it, so it helped me explain some complex concepts around why we separate IT products from support, to summarize things, to paraphrase, to generate content, and then support decision making of why it would be a bad thing for the city if we combine these together. And so I'm not going to bore you, but I started just putting together a prompt, and these are the things that I started. I put this together on one screen because it kind of tied, as I started talking to my contract into the AI, it started generating stuff out. So when we say prompt engineering, it just says kind of be specific about how we're talking to our artificial intelligence or my robot friend. So I got a little video here that I was going to show you because I'd love for you guys to take this away and be able to use something similar to this. So I have to restart that up. Yeah, I think. But I started in ChatGPT. Ooh, great. Round of applause for Lupe. I'm in ChatGPT, and there's something called plugins in ChatGPT. And plugins allow us to extend ChatGPT to a library of things such as Expedia, so you can travel or make travel plans, or in this case, a PDF reader. And so I basically copied in my prompt that I showed you on the last screen. I said, I want you to review this contract for me and tell me how we can start crafting a letter. And so I said, sure, I can help you with that, but I'm going to need you to add the PDF. And so it says, just click this link right here, and then add the PDF. It's going to give you a code. So punch that in. So I click on the link, I grab my PDF, I drag it in, and then boom, there's my code. So I copy and paste that code now right back into my ChatGPT conversation. And now it recognizes my entire contract. It analyzes that contract, 43 pages of reading, just like that. And it's ready to start answering my questions. Yeah. Cool. So it says, this contract doesn't have anything about these ITIL concepts that you're talking about. It's not directly in there, but there's some things that are close to it. Should I just start building a letter based on that? And I say, yeah, let's do that. Takes me a second, though, that's right. And there we go. It takes me longer to read than it takes ChatGPT to process. So cool. So it starts drafting my letter. Just like that, I've got a letter that the basis. I always like to say that ChatGPT and AI, it's like 0 to 60% in 3 seconds. So I'm going to get 60% of my work done in these 3 seconds. And then it's my job over the next 40% of my time to correct it, manage like hallucinations, or just to make sure it's on point with what I want to say. And so I see that, and it writes the letter, and creates that. And then as I go through it, I find that it's a little bit weak in the teeth on why we want to have a separation between changes in projects and support, because we can't create a flat fee budget like we can for support for changes. We're not able to plan when a pandemic is going to occur. It'd be foolish of us to put in the budget every year, let's plan for a pandemic. And so we want to plan those specifically as they go, so I asked it to explain why a fixed fee contract that includes changes could lead to a lack of transparency and misuse of city funds, because if we just have this massive budget every year that we don't need, it just doesn't seem right for the city. It's not going to be in their best use, so they can do their best job. And so it starts breaking down the lack of specificity, the financial risk, and all those ideas and things that really start proving the case so that you don't want to do what you're asking for and either have way too big of a budget or way too small, because they're both bad. That's why we make it just right. So I said, great, now that we got all these two things, got a letter, and the taxonomist, can you put that in a letter for me, and title, and it says, sure, it does it. And now I've got a complete justification to send off to the city. It didn't take me hours and hours, just a few minutes of using the pro version of ChatGPT with a plugin. What was that?
So it took me an hour.
Yeah, well, imagine like going and typing out the entire letter would have taken me, good, 4 or 5 hours of focus time. I got to research, I got to figure it out. I'll take 1 hour of prompting over 5 hours of trying to use the best and brightest part of my brain or something. I don't enjoy reading contracts at all and going through and then explaining this stuff. So there you go. Now, quick moving on, if you could help me just go on to the next slide. I just want to have a quick disclaimer. Like Shelby was saying, so we're big at having one platform. We use Microsoft. We realize that having less stuff helps people do more. We can train when you have one platform versus a plethora of several platforms. Microsoft does have this ChatGPT privatized and secured in its platform. They paid $13 billion to ChatGPT to pull some strings like that. And so I wouldn't recommend putting your private data in here. Talk to your IT people about connecting securely. And if they're focused more on security and reliability than some of this innovation stuff, then ask them to find an IT provider that can help get you to the promised land. Because you can build this functionality for everybody in your staff, essentially, to understand all of your data and talk to it at a moment's notice and start improving process, improving decision making, and ultimately creating a better experience for people. And that's what the technology is here for. So, hope that was helpful. And I'm going to turn it over to Chad.
I'm Chad Treadwell, as Christina mentioned, CEO of the LED lighting company, Monterey Lighting Solutions. Monterey is an interesting distributor of lighting because we don't do it traditional. We don't have a bunch of product that we sit in the warehouse and just ship it out. We actually project manage the entire process from the very beginning of the lighting, the design work, and working with architects and engineers and owners and contractors to develop the bill of material for the lighting. And we take that all the way through the process of value engineering, cost analysis to get it less expensive for them. And then at some point in time, we get the order. When we get the order, we set them off to project management. And I started with Monterey about a year ago, and a year ago, Monterey was having a lot of problems. They were not profitable. We had several quarters of losses, and so I came in and I started looking at what we could do to make it more efficient. And I noticed that one of the biggest issues that we had there was turnover for the project management. It was every 60 days we would turn over employees. So that was a problem, particularly that's the front line for customer service and if you don't do that, well, you're not going to be in business very long. So I pulled Tony in to help me out, and that's why we're here together. But we came up with what I realized is that 40% of the work that these project managers were doing was data entry work. And these were high dollar people, and they were spending 40% of the time just moving data from one system to the other. So Tony and I talked, and we thought, well, the best thing to do is put a robot in there, and let's take the let's go up to our vendors' website. We have about 700 of them. We didn't hit them all. We hit the top 10, 15, but and basically pull data over from their website. So it basically goes in and logs into their website. It knows where to go. The robot does. Pulls the data, puts it back in my system, and then spits it out to the customer. So in this case, we try to focus on just ship schedules. When does this stuff get shipped? Because our, we'll ship thousands of items, hundreds of different types of SKUs. So it's difficult to manage through that process. So we focused on what are the ship schedules. And we started with the most basic stuff. We got the ship schedules in, and then immediately it went from, well, we were spending at least 2 weeks trying to get project managers that were unhappy to put ship schedules into the system to send to the customers. Now we got real-time live information from the manufacturers, and it went from literally 2 weeks to a day to get the customers updated shipping information. That 2 week period of time before that was not acceptable to customers at all. So that worked really well. It's kind of the process is kind of neat because the robot runs into a wall and it says we don't know what to do, and then it sends it over to a human. It's human to figure this thing out. And so we were able to actually, stay on top of that. And we said, well, let's do the next step. The next step is when stuff actually ships, and we follow the same type of process to get into our vendors' websites. We grabbed now the actual ship data as well as the tracking numbers and everything like that, brought it back into our system, and immediately started doing fulfillment, which is something we have to do in our system before we get in. So you have to do the ship schedules are before you ship, fulfillment is when you ship, and then from there, it's all about invoicing. So we said, what the heck, let's just invoice too. So we basically went from a process that was taking 3 or 4 weeks to taking just a day or two. Project managers are way happier now. In fact, we've increased our business by 50%, and we haven't had to add any more project managers. We're doing more project management work, less data entry work. It's led to, we had a really good year, very good profitable year, and that savings right there was, I would say, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. So on top of that, the customers themselves are way happier. They were waiting 3 or 4 weeks to get shipping information on big projects that come in that is very dynamic and changes and things like that. So the customers got real-time information, and so the customer satisfaction went up, employee satisfaction went up, and even beyond that, from a cash flow perspective, we went from sending invoices out 3 or 4 weeks to sending invoices out in a day, which is very useful in our cash flow. So Tony's helping out with that. He's gonna help me again soon, and we're gonna do some work with him. So thanks.
So you gentlemen are not out of the hot seat yet. Thank you so much for your presentation. And one of the things that we're trying to get today for our audience and our businesses is advice. You have here your health captive, so we're going to ask you to give some expertise. So what's one piece of advice that you would give to our business owners here about how they can leverage AI or something they should be thinking about? We'll start with Chad.
I think from my perspective, I mean, it used to be, I've taken over several companies before and built them up, changed processes, become efficient, getting profitable, and then sold them. And I never had AI to do that. And it's just such a game changer because the process change itself can make it more profitable. You layer on AI on top of that smartly, and the sky's the limit. So.
Great, and Tony.
I would say that it's helpful to find a guide, like people, like the speakers you've had here that can show you what you can do. Because the application of actually doing it is real, so Microsoft makes it really easy. I would say start with a process that's very time consuming and mundane, like Chad did. And Microsoft will literally record your screen, and the AI of Microsoft helping you find AI will just tell you the opportunities that you have through a screen recording and then kick out a plan for you. It's so much easier than it seems, and it's so easily demystified if somebody just educates you and illuminates you on what you should do in your.
Great, thank you. Now I want to get a very big round of applause here. Thank you.